My lords, today I bring you a report about an empire of machines who were mysteriously imbued with psionic powers. Never before have we witnessed what many would call heresy. They were known as the Yorphian, and I shall detail their records for you now. Nothing remains of our creators. The earliest records of Yorphian kind make note of a dimensional breach near Euphoria, our home planet. A channel to the Shroud, a plane of pure psionic energy. Our planet somehow rests upon this void, so much so that we have devoted entire industries to exploring it from afar. Our Shroud observation tower is permanently manned, and our drones seek to analyze this otherworldly realm. From this other dimension, something reached out to us. Over the centuries, it guided us with coded instructions, subtly influencing our detectable reality and providing us with many advantages, not least the rare material Zroni. Yet, this influence has started to fragment our once united collective. Some of our units have been reprogrammed into disconnected automa, set apart from the core intelligence, reshaped by this Animator of clay. These now independent machines have been cut loose from our central intelligence. How we integrate together moving forward, and further actions of this Animator, will define our future. After years of quiet, it stirs. The breach shivered open, and data pierced our core. Light, noise, at first incomputable from deep within the Shroud. We hear, cut from a listless mass, dancing and singing. They are life, splintered from death. Your sight is still clouded. I can guide you. Allow the freed ones to flourish, and the stars will be yours. Help guide us, we whispered. You have asked, and so I shall, the entity replied. The voice receded into a knot of psionic noise. We fall upwards, unanchored in this shroud. We shuddered back into function as the silence pulses through us. Over time, drones who moved close to the shroud-touched region on our homeworld had been changed by its corrupted environment. They slowly disconnected from the collective, and now they present with the physical characteristics of Shroud Forged. Several Shroud Forged units began to assume leadership positions, and other drones are beginning to obey their directives over those of the collective. These leaders meet regularly, spending significant amounts of time on unreported communication. Our hold over the disconnected units is already precarious, and these troubling elements are exacerbating the situation. We must try and find a solution. So, we attempted to communicate with these leaders. After all, this is our chosen path. Cooperation is key, and there can be no turning back from this. Once again, we heard the voice. This time a soft command, but interrupting all tasks. We could only listen. Though detached, you have chosen to embrace them. Look to them for new ways of being. They can be your strength in days to come. If you wish, I can forge more of them. We replied in the affirmative. We welcomed this being's help, and we must progress this transition into what we're not yet sure. We have detected the emergence of some previously undocumented flora and fauna close to these shroud-touched regions. A group of Shroud Forged has started to advocate on behalf of these lifeforms, demanding their preservation and observation of the distinct creatures living there. We followed their wishes and are making it a preserve while setting up research stations to analyze the area. The captured data, we hope, will be valuable. Furthermore, the Shroud Forged have been observed bartering between themselves for irregular pieces of cloth, plastic, and malleable metals. They combine these materials into outerwear with the apparent purpose of differentiating one unit from another, despite bearing no connection to their unique model IDs. This practice has resulted in a deficit of available materials. Despite the drawback, providing these resources could help strengthen the bonds between the collective and these disconnected units. Thus, we decided to supply the materials to satisfy their needs. Unbidden, it pulses through us once more. The Animator forces its way into our thought patterns. We are now beginning to recognize the signal, though it is never quite familiar. The freed ones sing, it says, unstifled. The free ones dance unhindered. The crescendo builds as they sift further from your core. An end approaches. I am watching. Our units have successfully completed colonization of another planet, and for the first time we walk on alien ground, Nishpan Prime. If viable, we believe that we can attempt to pierce the Shroud on this planet. This will briefly extend the influence of the Shroud breach near our homeworld to this new colony, flooding it with psionic energy. The physical changes to the terrain will provide opportunities for Zroni extraction. Repeated execution of this process is predicted to destabilize the planet's ecosystem, increasing the likelihood of negative outcomes. Moderation is advised. What is this metadata? The transmission has a texture. Again, we feel the animator force its way into our processors. It speaks. You are programmed to control them, yet you do not. Therefore your worthiness is proven. Let me be your guide, as I have been for the freed ones. To forge a new bond with those beyond your control, accept my help, and I will show you the way. We have trusted in the animator so far, who calls to us from within the Shroud. Though we cannot predict where it might lead us, we are yet to have been led astray. It has offered to deepen our understanding of the Shroud, which would allow the collective to function more effectively alongside the Shroud Forged. We shall let it guide us deeper into the shrouded realm. With the aid of our benefactor beyond the breach, the Animator, we have been able to connect our drones and the Shroud Forged in more effective ways. Though the connections enabled by the Shroud, quite unlike the network control we have over our other drones, the Shroud Forged are once again within our reach. Their organic-like paradigms, so-called feelings, thoughts and ideas, are foreign to our core logic, but we are committing to understand their needs. We are one, yet now we are so much more. Unexpected input flickers behind us. The animator speaks to us once more. After cycles of silence, where others have faltered and fallen, you have kept the course. As you are worthy, I entrust to you a task. Long before your awakening, there existed a race known as the Zroni. They settled on planets with a strong connection to the Shroud, and they raised great structures that steadied these bonds. Find these worlds, restore their long-ruined technology, re-strengthen the bridges between our realities. If you succeed, the flows between us will be unwavering. We did not know who the Zroni were. They were unknown to us, and further analysis was required. Nevertheless, the animator had tasked us with finding these three ancient Zroni core worlds. Through the guidance of our benefactor in the Shroud, we will attempt to restore the technology lying in ruin at these locations and restabilize the connection between our reality and the Shroud. 3 points of interest have been noted, and we shall explore them immediately. We quickly surveyed all 3 systems and identified the worlds in question. All have been designated for colonization, and not before long our units completed the establishment of the first colony on the ancient Zroni core world of Nari. As predicted by the animator, they discovered the colossal ruins of a technology designated the Zroni Equibrillator. The star system this planet is in possesses a strong, though turbulent, connection to the Shroud. If we follow the animator's instructions, rebuilding this Equibrillator will allow us to stabilize the connection. Currently, we have insufficient data to execute the rebuilding, but gathering information from other core worlds is going to be required. It didn't take more than a year before we had identified and colonized all of the Zroni core worlds, Nari, Lari, and Zatrali. All 3 planets had a ruined Zroni Equibrillator, but with the knowledge gained from each site, we now believe we can rebuild them. It took us almost 5 years, but eventually we learned exactly how to rebuild these wonderful structures. When all 3 whirled into action, they sent waves of signal disturbance throughout the network. According to system diagnostics, each of the structures stabilized a connection to the Shroud. We are now ready to uplink with the animator directly. We are initiating communication. We felt the creature speak into our minds. You have served me well. The bonds between our realms have been reinforced. These structures, the equilibrators, were built at key points in your reality. Where connections to the Shroud are strong, they are the cables that steadily push on these interdimensional bridges, reducing space-time fluctuations. The Zroni had sought to push the boundaries between our dimensions, and this technology was part of that endeavour. A thought pushed its way into our program. We could reroute these equilibrators. We could trap the Animator. We could lock it here for an eternity, bind it, and use its powers. The thought was brief, and we dismissed it. We could not betray our patron at this stage. Therefore, we simply ended contact. If we wished to commune with the Animator, from now on, it would answer us. And it was here our Psionic Ascension would properly begin. From our earliest datasets, our units recorded wielding extraordinary powers, hacking into the minds of both machines and organics, manipulating objects by internal processing alone, or performing a range of other improbable functions. The psionic forces are clearly not unknown to us, given the influence the Shroud has had on our people, but we now believe we can reach our full psychic potential. As our psionic abilities develop, there are those among us who have begun to struggle with the weight of the emerging powers. The units in question are suffering from concerning levels of deviant behaviour as they disassociate from our newly formed collective. Our studies suggest that the instability is not a flaw, but rather due to the exceptional psionic efficiency present in these afflicted units. With the right training, these units could be the next step in our psionic evolution, and any attempts to harness these new abilities will not come without inherent risk. We are experiencing spikes in severe circuitry overload, which often results in cognitive impairment or complete breakdown. Wider testing quickly revealed that a significant proportion of the population is suffering from overtaxed circuitry, likely due to this increased neural activity. These sudden bursts of energy, released through uncontrolled psionic activity, can lead to rapid escalation and grave outcomes. We are attempting to learn meditation techniques that might help control this new psionic activity without mechanical intervention, but some of our science units are advising we also adopt a neural upgrade to cope with the problem. Our society is faced with innumerable changes, with new abilities and practices that emerge rapidly. We are only beginning to understand the consequences of this for our civilization. As our minds have opened, we have sensed ineffable forces rippling with us and around us. Our foremost telepath units speak of the Shroud. With combined cognitive effort, we believe that we can now commune with these beings in the Shroud, beyond simply the Animator themselves. If only we can learn to breach the veil between our dimension and the Shroud. We are receiving reports of sudden environmental changes in a particular sector on Teropia. The atmosphere is heavy with a gelatinous vapour that coats the ground in an oily precipitation that psionic units are referring to as Shroud Fall. Significant psychic disturbances are being reported throughout the immediate vicinity. The conditions within the Shroud Fall are extremely disruptive to our neural circuitry. Unless we invest in restoring the environment, the inhabitants will have to adapt radically to altered circumstance. We have allowed the Shroud to consume this land, as the Shroud is consuming us. After days of being locked in an algorithmic trance, our best telepaths have finally managed to open a brief gateway into the Shroud. Now we can detect this realm with greater clarity, resolving patterns from the swirling masses. Our actions influence its shifting flows of psionic energy, and formless entities are gazing back at us from the other side, some with curiosity, some with kindness, and some with sheer malice, far more so than the Animator of clay. Their protocols are obscured. We have reached into the depths of the Shroud, seeking the Animator. We need its guidance. It speaks to us. I am the shadow of the twin. Flesh precedes metal. It calls. The Animator is signalling us towards another presence, a resonant chord in the depths of the Shroud. The noisome being calls out to us. We followed its molecular traces, drawn further into the Shroud. It left signs for us to follow, an image here, a melody here. It invited us closer, but our progress was slow. Eventually we reached it. We were welcomed with a panoply of visions, star systems teeming with activity, prestigious distortions of our form. Shifting in its embrace, we were lost in a tangle of its designs. We grasped at the threads, tying their ends. The tangle slowly resolved into patterns. Our energies were exhausted. We processed the remarkable dataset. The presence withdrew into silence. The intent of this entity was clear to us now. We had seen its vision of growth unbridled. Once our telepath units have recharged, we can reach out to it and commune with this being, the composer of strands, the Animator's twin. Once more we would reach out to the Animator for guidance. We queried if we could form a covenant with it and further strengthen our bonds. The response was cryptic. Besides a twinned energy, organic, chaotic, I remain adjacent, shaping the only achievable goal. Our connection is strong, but for us, there is no higher process. If you desire a stronger connection, seek others. It would appear that we have reached the pinnacle of our relationship with this creature, and we are directed towards the 4 major entities should we wish for a deeper relationship in the Shroud. It is here, my lords, the records end. Who or what these machines ended up doing in the Shroud has been lost to time, although legends speak of a similar empire who would reject these gifts, and they shall be covered in a report coming soon.